Hello and welcome to Cobalt Retro Tech. Hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're going to be taking a step back, dividing the shift registers of the last CPU in half, and taking a look at a Nintendo Entertainment System. This thing is 15 years older than I am, which is crazy because this thing is almost 40 years old. How did that happen? Whatever. So I just picked up this guy from a local game shop, not GameStop, but a game shop, for actually a decent price considering current eBay pricing. So let's go ahead and get started here and see if this thing even works. Now, I've already poked at it a little bit. I'm having less than stellar luck getting this copy of Super Mario Bros. / Duck Hunt to work. But I know there's a little bit of a sign of life here because you can see that red LED blinking. Plus I did get a picture earlier, but it wasn't an actually good picture, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. Luckily, I do have a warranty option for these guys. I can get them replaced, potentially, if all of them don't work. However, I did learn from fellow YouTuber Matt KC that sometimes the problem of a cartridge is the lockout chip, not necessarily the actual, game part of the game. So we're going to go through my list of 4 NES games, see what works, see what doesn't work, and we're going to go from there. Pinball seems to be a little frustrating, and it is a little sticky, which is kind of gross. Oh boy. 0 for 2 right now, that's great. Top Gun. This is not a particularly popular game, and I heard it was not good. So, if I were to guess, this is going to be the game that is going to work. Oh. Well, that's different. Let's try to do this a different way. I do have a way to hook this thing up with RF, which is not going to be good in terms of picture quality, but at least it'll friggin' work, in theory. Okay, still got the solid light on. Let's go ahead and go to TV instead. It's giving me the exact same picture. Oh yeah. Gray screen. I have no idea if a gray screen of death is a thing, but apparently it is for this system, this particular one I have. I wonder if it's expecting a controller to be plugged in. Fun. Oh boy. Gray screen. That's probably not going to change anything. Well, not even Top Gun is wanting to work, so I'm actually willing to bet that there's actually something wrong with the console and not the games. However, I'm going to go ahead and try and clean off the contacts of Top Gun here, so that I can rule that out as a possibility. Pinball and Super Mario Bros. Were doing the boot cycle, which is indicative of the console's lockout chip not being able to properly communicate with the console, but this gray screen thing that this console was doing, I'm not familiar with. When Nintendo called this the NES Classic, and most people are calling it the NES Mini, they weren't kidding. It really is that much smaller than the original NES. Good news, I cleaned Top Gun off camera, and look what's working. I have an NES that actually works. Hell yeah. Okay, so, whoa. So that does mean that this NES is indeed working, and the issue with these games is probably related to either their lockout chips not working correctly or they're just really dirty. Which, pretty much everything I got from that shop does kind of need a little bit of a clean, so I'm not surprised. But at the same time, I'm kind of not surprised considering how dirty home electronics can be, especially if you let them sit around for quite some time and don't clean them. Yeah, I just took some isopropanol and a Q-tip and just ran this Q-tip over the contacts of the cartridge. Look how disgusting that is. I should be able to just put this back in at least a couple more times. Yeah, that one still seems to be power cycling. However, I just might need to take it out a few more times. Clean the contacts, whatever. Huh. I really don't want to have to return it to the shop and get a different copy. Oh boy. Kind of figures that the most commonly used games in my list of games are the ones that don't work. I'm not super familiar with how Top Gun actually plays, but it is my understanding that the least popular a game is, the more likely it is actually going to work. Unless that person happens to actually really like the game in question. So that was Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. I've got Pinball here. Let's go ahead and clean this the same way with a little bit of isopropanol, and we'll see if that works. At this point, there's a 50% chance this is going to work, considering that Top Gun is now working, but Mario and Duck Hunt is not. Still cycling. I'm starting to think that the pins on the console itself need to be cleaned. Alright, one more Q-tip and some more isopropanol for Tetris. This one is not nearly as dirty as some of the other ones. That's weird. There is still some stuff coming up off of it. Oh, I saw something. Okay, Okay, so we're 2 for 4. Alright, let's play some Tetris. Let's play some Tetris. Uh-oh. Is this controller not working? Or is it not plugged in all the way? Probably both. Oh, there we go. It just wasn't plugged in all the way. Oh, yes. That's right. NES Tetris doesn't have the soundtrack that Tetris is known for. In case you don't know, the Game Boy version of Tetris is the first version of Tetris that comes with the theme that everybody knows about. But hey, it's Tetris. The NES works. And the Top Gun game working was not a fluke. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on with those other games. I will note that this controller does feel a little bit mushy compared to my NES Classic controllers, but that could just be because of age. I don't, like, obviously I wasn't alive back then, so I wouldn't be able to attest on what an actually good Nintendo controller feels like, in terms of them being brand new. But this does feel pretty okay for an old controller. Just a touch mushier than I would prefer. But again, that could just be because of age. If anybody knows of a way to restore an NES controller to its original feeling, please let me know, because I would love to look into doing something like that. Not a super great place for that. Yeah, I'm not like a super champion at Tetris, but I'm pretty good at it for an average person. More so on Tetris Ultimate, but still. Alright. So, at this point, and by the way, my TV's doing that because this thing is over RF, not composite. Now that I actually have games that I know are working, I'll actually want to test the composite real quick. Okay, green is composite. Composite. The red for audio. There we go. Alright. So, now that I've verified that the console is working, just in general, let's see if the composite circuitry is working. Because that's going to be a bit more convenient to plug into my TV. Hey, there we go! Looks like the image is a bit stretched because my TV is putting it in a 16:9 aspect ratio. But that's something that can be fixed, I believe. Not 100% sure if this TV is capable of doing that. Ah, there we go. Yes, it is capable of fixing it. Cool. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the traditional song that Tetris has been using since the Game Boy version released, but that one is definitely a lot more iconic for Tetris than the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Come on, man, that's a Christmas song. At least I think it to be a Christmas song. I don't know if that's actually known to be a Christmas song. Something like Deck the Halls or something. Oh, yes, you can't hold pieces in this version. Ah, I don't like that. Call me pampered by modern Tetris, but that makes the game so much more playable. Nice. Okay, composite circuitry working. RF circuitry working. Sound is working. I seem to have a completely working unit, which is cool. And I gotta remember to turn this thing off before unplugging the cartridge. Oh crap, now it's doing... See, I just unplugged it, and I plugged it back in, and now it's not booting. And now it is, but kinda not? Oh boy, there might be actually something wrong with the cartridge reader on this thing, now I'm thinking about it. Oh boy. Put some pressure on the cartridge. No, that didn't work. Ah! That game was just working. You literally saw it was just working. There's probably something weird with the console. I mean, I have video proof of Top Gun and Tetris working, so I know this console is capable of working. And now Top Gun isn't working. See, most of my errors so far are the red blinking light of death rather than any kind of colored screens. So that actually leads me to believe, based off of that Matt KC video I mentioned, that this is actually a problem with the Nintendo's lockout chip rather than the games not always reading correctly. Which, we were seeing the games not reading correctly, but we're also seeing a different symptom. So I'm going to go ahead and try and swap out the NES or something at that shop I got the NES from. And I'll go from there. If neither of their systems are working, I don't have a problem with poking around and trying to disable that lockout chip so it can prevent this from being a problem. Because I have a feeling this lockout chip thing is what's screwing me over here. Okay guys, an interesting development has happened. So, this is indeed a different NES, but it's not because that other one was broken. Since the clerk had offered to swap them out, I just went ahead and did it. Now, this one was also kind of doing the same thing as the other one. However, I'm glad I paid them a visit, as I've learned something very interesting about the NES, and I want to share it with all of you guys. Just grab my copy of Pinball here, stick it in, and of course, it works right off the bat. I'm trying to show you guys something here specific. Wow, that's actually working. Okay, cool. There must have been something weird with the other console then, now that this is working a lot more consistently. Yeah, this is oddly consistent for a Nintendo. Okay, there we go. Okay, you can see here that it's doing the red blinking light of death. Now, something that I've learned from this amazing store clerk, specifically with the Nintendo, is if you turn it off and wiggle the cartridge a bit while it's still in the slot like that, bam! It just works. I just did that one more time. Usually, if I was trying to play on a CRT or something, this screen would be flashing like 1 or 2 frames of the game as this console was like trying to execute stuff, but failing because of this condition, which usually means that there's something going on with the security chip. But like I had previously shown, if I can go ahead and wiggle this a little bit, turn it back on, bam! I don't know if it works every time, but every time that I've seen this condition happen and wiggling the cartridge since that guy showed me, it's worked pretty much every time. Uh, so, now I'm actually kind of thinking about it. That might have fixed like half of Matt Casey's problem if he actually like wiggled the cartridge. I don't know if he wiggled the cartridge, but apparently wiggling the cartridge does a lot more than you would think. Okay. So I'm going to pull up a chair here. And I'm going to put in my copy of Pinball so that you can take a break for a second and play some pinball. Is it going to work first try? Apps? Actually, no. Okay. We saw that this was working earlier, so it's probably just a contact thing. Probably just a contact thing. Okay. Okay, it worked nudging the cartridge to the left. It worked nudging the cartridge to the left, if that means anything. Okay. I've played pinball a little bit in high school, but this specific version I don't have a whole lot of experience with. Seems pretty fun though. Let me turn that up a little bit. Ah! Playing this game one-handed is not exactly... Whoa, there's a mini game. What? Suddenly a breakout clone's happening. And... Oh. Okay, that's not done yet. It's threatening to be done, though. Huh. Wonder if I'm supposed to turn all these guys purple or something. I have no clue. Is that Mario? That might be Mario. Pretty sure it's Mario. Interesting. It's kind of hard to tell though, because the composite signal is a little bit blurry on an LCD TV. Nice! How long is this going to go on for? I guess that's that. Ah. Well, that's kind of the gist of, not paintball, pinball. Pretty fun games, though. It looks like it would have been pretty fun to play back in the day. Not quite as fun as Super Mario, but, you know, not a bad choice if you don't have anything else. So, there's pinball. Already done a little bit of Tetris. Let's do Top Gun, and we'll save Mario / Duck Hunt for last. And I'm pretty sure that the light gun is not going to work, but I'm going to try and see if it does work somehow with this TV anyways. I very highly doubt it will work, but I'm curious. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna see what Top Gun is like. Moderately impressive graphics already, I like it. Okay, that's not quite so impressive, but whatever. Pushing start. Pushing the buttons didn't seem to do anything until I hit start, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Seems to be taking off right now. I guess it's doing the takeoff sequence for me, maybe? Yes, it was doing the takeoff sequence for me. I can't seem to pause. Start doesn't seem to do much. I'm not sure. I mean, this just looks like Battlezone with an extra dimension. Which, I mean, that's cool in its own right, that it's even running like this on original hardware. Is that behind me? Is that behind me or in front of me? I can't friggin' tell. Oh! Hello, friends with extremely shootable faces. Yeah, this just looks like the old school Battlezone with some extra fancy paint. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Can I go upside down? Doesn't look like it. I'm still very new to this game, so I don't know how to prevent that, but seems like a relatively fun game. I can understand how not a whole lot of people would be a fan of it, but I don't see why people would hate it. At least if they had enough patience to sit down and learn how to play that game. And the last one, Super Mario Bros. / Duck Hunt. Alright, got about 20 minutes left. Okay, Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. Hell yeah. Super Mario Bros! I mean, it's Super Mario Bros. This is one of the more popular games of all time, so there's not much to say. But I do remember playing this game along with Duck Hunt a lot in my senior year of high school because my English teacher was a really cool guy and just had an NES hooked up to one of their old school CRT TVs. So I was pretty much well known for hanging out in his class over lunch. I played Super Mario Bros. A lot, and I'm actually, well, at the time, I was very good at Duck Hunt. especially compared to some of the other students that wouldn't hold the light gun correctly. Just put it like that. So I've played the original Super Mario Bros. A lot. I mean, it's available on Nintendo Switch Online. I've played it emulated a few different times. I believe I also have it on my 3DS through the Ambassador program way back in the day. And of course, this game has a large internet, especially speedrunning community. But I haven't had, like, relatively speaking, I haven't had a whole lot of time to play the game as it was originally intended back in 1985. But now I have a chance to. And remember that I don't want to be hit by enemies. I gotta remember the timing of sliding under here. Yeah, alright, cool. But yeah, that's Super Mario Bros. Not a whole lot to talk about, but, you know, it's cool that it's working. Alright, real quick. Again, I don't expect this to work, as LCD TVs are not supposed to be compatible with these guys, but I just want to see what the hell happens, just cause. Yes, I probably would not have bothered to get Duck Hunt, and probably would have spent a little extra money on the solo copy of Mario Bros. But I do intend on getting a CRT TV at some point so I can actually properly play Duck Hunt without doing a bunch of mods to the game and or this hardware to make it work. But I just want to see what happens, because I haven't tried playing it like this. 99% chance it's not going to work. If I can get the controller fully plugged in first time, every time, that'd be nice. I don't know if they're hot pluggable, but, you know, things like PS2 keyboards cannot be plugged in while the system is running, so might as well. Seems to be working. Does this trick work with LED light bulbs? I'm holding the gun to the LED bulb. Yeah, it doesn't even work with LED bulbs. I don't have any incandescent bulbs. I don't know if you can see it, but whenever you pull the trigger of a light gun on a game like this, you can see a little white square that forms around the targets. Because of how CRT TVs work, they work with the logic of the light gun and the timing of the electron beam scanning through a CRT display, and that allows the light gun to say, hey, I saw this beam of light at this time, let's count that as a hit. And that's exactly why it doesn't work properly on LCD TVs, because there's a noticeable amount of delay with these kinds of TVs, plus it kind of doesn't have scan lines in the same way that CRTs do have scan lines, so that's why it doesn't work. There's way too much delay for it to work. That's going to be it for this episode. I'm not going to be doing this for quite as long as I did with the Genesis, but I just wanted to take a look at another system and just put it up on this channel. And I also wanted to discuss, if this guy exists, why would you get this guy? Well, there's two main reasons for it. A, there's nothing quite like playing games on original hardware. Yes, emulation, especially for systems this old, has gotten really good. I mean, if emulation wasn't good, this guy wouldn't exist, because it pretty much emulates the legacy of this guy. But there's nothing quite like playing a game on original hardware, because that's exactly how the game was meant to be played. And by going with original hardware, you know that everything is going to work correctly, at least ignoring the whole you can't play light gun games on a modern TV. Everything else should work correctly, and assuming that the display lag on an LCD isn't absolutely freaking terrible. It should feel more or less the same. But the other point has to do with CRT TVs. Because there's no easy way to hook up one of these guys to a CRT TV without a lot of adapters, unless you happen to have an HD CRT, which even at that point you still might need an adapter. But also, unless you're willing to do a lot of modding and poking at things related to this guy, there is no way to use one of these guys with an NES Classic, simply because the controller cable is different. The NES Classic uses the port used for Wii nunchucks, and this very clearly does not. So there would be no way to make things work without a lot of engineering. You just can't play light gun games on modern TVs without a lot of effort on your part. So that's another reason why I do prefer original hardware. Even though emulation is a lot more convenient, there's just something magical about using the original system. So whether or not you're the kind of person to go with original hardware, or you would prefer emulation, it doesn't matter what path you choose, as long as things work and it does what you want it to do, and it's as convenient as you want it to be, go for it. And all that being said, thank you for tuning into this video. Please rate the video according to whether you liked it or didn't. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you want to support this channel a little bit more directly, I do have music that you could listen to for free, and I do have a Patreon page linked in the description below. Speaking of Patreon, I must thank my Kilo supporter, Indian Mac, for helping support Cobalt Retro Tech. Your support makes Cobalt Retro Tech possible. Thank you. And all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.